Good morning, my dear student friends. Today, I would like to discuss about a poem by John Keats, Ode on a Grecian Urn. So, John Keats was an English romantic poet. He was born on October 31st, 1795 and died on February 23rd, 1821. And was attacked by a fever, tuberculosis, and at the age of 25, he lost his life. His parents were Thomas and Frances Jennings Keats, and Keats' mother died in 1809 due to tuberculosis, and also his father died when Keats was very young. And John Keats was very famous for the Ode to the Nightingale, Ode to a Grecian Urn, and Ode to Autumn. And John Keats was in love with Fanny Brain. However, they were never able to marry because of his health and financial condition was not good. Now come to the introduction. Ode on a Grecian Urn was written in the spring of 1819 by John Keats. Ode of a Grecian Urn is the complete expressions of the idea which was in Keats' mind when he wrote, "Beauty is truth, truth beauty, a thing of beauty is a joy forever." When he wrote this poem, he came to know the truth of nature art. And Ode on a Grecian Urn focus on a representation of art. The differences between life and art is the central idea of the poem. As we are all aware of that, human life is temporary and finite, but nature is eternal, infinite. Nature is an eternal resource. There is no death for nature, but human beings have a death on certain day. They are not immortal, they are mortal. That's the reason. A man who was born and brought up from the mud, the same man is going to bury in the mud. So there are many changes in the life, but there is no change in the nature. I mean, art is very beautiful. Art never fades, never dies. The Grecian urn is kept in the place of Lord Holland. The story takes place in Temple of Arcady. Naturally, The inspiration of the ode on a Grecian urn was derived from a marble urn of Lord Holland House. This poem speaks about Hellas, means Greek life in Greece. Very beautiful place in Greece. The theme of Ode on a Grecian Urn is a permanence of beauty. That's why John Keats always praised the beauty of nature. Many times he quoted his lines like, beauty is truth, truth is beauty, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Nothing is permanent in the world except nature's beauty, art, and natural sceneries. Now come to the poem, Ode on a Grecian Urn. Ode on a Grecian Urn. This poem is very powerful because John Keats was much more inspired by this particularly. I would like to read one stanza at present. Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time, Sylvan historian, who can't thus express a flowery tale is more sweeter than our rhymes. What leaf friend legend hunts about thy shape, of deities of mortals or of both? In temp are the dales of Arcady, what men's or gods are these? What maidens sloth, what mad pursuit, what struggle to escape, what pipes and timbrels, what wild ecstasy. In this first stanza, John Keats would like to speak. The poet's imagination is set at work on seeing the Grecian urn. He was at present in front of beautiful Grecian urn, a painting, and he was observing very keen and studying the greatness of art and the greatness of Greek culture, architecture, how they curved, how they depicted the sceneries on particular expensive marble vase. On that marble he depicted, means he studied many more things, because art is very beautiful. Art was much more attracted to this man, and he got an inspiration to draw his attention in a form of Ode on a Grecian Urn. Excellent poem which was written by John Keats. In the first stanza, the urn is wedded to quietness, the quietness of art, but still it tells the tale of Greek life in the past through the pictures carved on it. Now, the painting which was carved on the expensive vase, it depicts the story of the past, of ages and ages of Greeks, literature, culture, architecture, lifestyle, and what more. Many more things are depicted on this particular art. And here the poet is keen to know whether it depicts the life of whale, of temp, or that of the dales of Arcady, and whether the figure carved on it are men or goddess. And he got a doubt, and he wants to speak about the greatness of that painting. The greatness of painting is about the forest and the goddess, and also about the greenery, I mean the beautiful scenery of the woods, I mean to say that. The second stanza speaks, heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Therefore, yea, soft pipes play on, not to the sensual ear, but more endure. Pipe to the spirit deities of no tone, fair youth beneath the trees, thou canst not live, thy song not ever can those trees be bare. Bold lover, lover, never can't thou kiss, though winning near the goal, yet do not grieve. She can't fade, though thou hast in know thy bliss. Forever will thou love and she be fair aye. So in this second stanza, John Keats would like to explain by looking at a beautiful paintings. In the second stanza, heard melodies are sweet, those unheard. I mean to say that music which we hear by our badly ears is no doubt it is very sweet. But the music which is heard only through the imagination is much more sweeter. Through imagination, if you have a real taste of natural beauty, and by looking at the natural beauty and your inspiration, I mean the spontaneous overflow of feeling in a form of imagination is much more sweeter than a song which we hear with our ears. So here he was very close and very keen observer of the Greek arts, particularly in a home where John Keats was in Helen's means Greek life, which was architect curved on that, and he is at present in the Holland house. It is a Holland house. It is just like a museum for John Keats. And another in second stanza, what he observed by that paintings, because it is a permanent and because it is appeal directly to the soul. Imagination is very permanent. Directly it is going to touch to the soul because it is an art. The poet therefore asks the musician carved on the Greek urn to continue their delightful music and thus fill his soul with their silent melody. It is a silent melody. An art which was carved on an expensive vase. It has no death. It can depict the stories for ages and ages. We the people are going to become old. We are going to die one day, as Shakespeare's divided how a baby, and how a baby become a boy, and a boy become a wise man and was in love with a lady and got married, and 7 stages of life, I mean. In these 7 stages of life, man one day certainly is going to die. But here, there are no stages for the art. There are no changes for the art. It is not going to become ash. It is not going to die. It is going to be remembered forever and ever. That's the reason. Beauty is truth. Truth is beauty. A thing of beauty is a joy forever, according to John Keats. And thus, he turns to the picture of the youth playing on the pipe under the green shady tree. He will never cease playing, and the trees under which he sings will never shed their leaves. Now, under the tree, fair youth, they are piping some songs, and the green tree is always evergreen. Now, the tree is not going to shed the leaves, and the fair youth beneath the tree is always youth, and the song which was piping by the youth under the tree, always everlasting. It is melodious. The song is not going to die naturally. If I sing a song, I can sing for hour and hour or 2 hours. But there on the art where John Keats was watching carefully, the Greek art was marvelous. There is no pain, there is no death for youth who are singing or piping a song. Such a beautiful poem it was. And afterwards, similarly, the lover on the arm trying to kiss his beloved can never actually kiss her, though he seems very near to kissing her, but he need not to be unhappy. So here, fair youth, lover and the beloved, they are under a tree. They are ready to kiss each other, but they never do so. They remain as youth, evergreen, beauty which is there on the two beloveds. They remind, they remember always everlasting lovers. And the lovers are going to do, would like to hug each other. They would like to marry, but the marriage is not going to take place. But it can depict much more meanings if you understand with your soul and imagination. Beloved, lovers are ready to kiss each other, but they never do so. That is really great painting. It is an everlasting, and they are always ever youth. But he need not to be unhappy. He should console himself with thought will always love her. Art has conferred immortality of his love and her beauty. Art is immortal. Nature is immortal. Love is immortal. But life is not immortal. Human life is immortal. But nature is immortal. Art is immortal. Painting is immortal. Everything is immortal which is depicted or which was carved on an expensive vase where the marble is. At present, John Keats was astonished, surprised at this moment. And in the third stanza, happy, happy boughs that can't shed your leaves nor ever bid the spring adieu, and happy, melodious, unvaried, forever pipes songs forever new. More happy love, more happy, happy love, forever warm and still to be enjoyed, forever painting and forever young. In the third stanza. In this stanza, the poet dwells more firmly on the permanence of art. The green trees carved on the earth will never shed their leaves. In the third stanza, you can see a tree. Now the tree is always green. Naturally, in real life, trees are going to become when a plant which is buried in when a seed is buried in the ground. Now the seed becomes a plant, and a plant become a tree, and a tree bores branches and fruits, flowers are so. But whereas else, a tree which was there on an expensive vase is always green. It is not going to shed the leaves. It is not going to become yellow or pale or ash or brown. Naturally, in outside nature, it happens. But here, on that expensive vase, the painting which was carved by a great man. So, the green trees carved on the urn will never shed their leaves and will thus enjoy permanent springs. The music will never get tired. He will play on forever and ever, and his song will ever remain new and fresh. That song, if you imagine with your soul, with your mind, it never ends. It is always forever remain young and passionate, and his song will never remain new, ever remain new and fresh. The lover is happy, for his love will never change, and the young passionate, his love will ever remain calm and elevated, quite different from human love, which brings sorrow and suffering in his train. In real love, naturally, we are going to meet with sorrow, sufferings, ups and downs. Young will become old, and old is going to decay, and the decay man is going to die. This is what naturally happens, but it never happens in this. In the fourth stanza, one of the picture carved on the arm was that of a lover pursuing his beloved. There is another picture also that one of a number of people going to make a sacrifice. A priest is seen leading a heifer to sacrifice on some green altar. Now, a young heifer is going to ready to sacrifice, and followed by a priest. If you imagine, there is a kind of ceremony is going to happen. Now, a young heifer, a priest is seen leading a heifer to be sacrificed on some green altar. The heifer is looking up and lowing to the sky. Lowing to the sky. Her soft sides and decorated with flowers. Now the young heifer is decorated by flowers, and this young heifer is going to to sacrifice, because they were going to celebrate an occasion. There are a large number of people following the priest, and the poet imagines that the town out of which they have come must be particularly empty. None of these cities will never return to explain why the town is empty. On that painting, young heifer is moving forward, and before you can see the location of the city. People are moving forward, marchward, but they never return. It is always evergreen. There is no change in their momentum. They are as like that only. Now the heifer is not going to sacrifice. It is going to sacrifice. It is going to kill. Now the priest also never became old. Everything is fresh, new and energetic in that. Art has caught a moment in the life of these people and made it immortal. The scene which was carved on that expensive vase, on a marble vase, it is immortal. It is not going to be fake. It is always eternal. No change in that. In the last stanza, I would like to conclude. The poet addressed the Grecian arm, embodied all over with pictures of men and women, of forest trees and trodden weeds, and says that it baffles and perplexes the human mind and thus eternity itself. It is as mysterious and unknowable as eternity. When the present generation has died out, the arm will live in the midst of the future generation and try to lessen their sufferings by the friendly message. Now here John Keats is going to end with his conclusion stating that I will tell them that beauty and truth are identical, and an understanding of this principle alone is sufficient for man during his earthly existence. So finally, this poem is going to end with John Keats, how he was inspired and loved the great Greeks of painting. I mean, painting is an eternal. Art, beauty is truth, truth is beauty. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Nothing is permanent in the world except beauty, except art. With this, I would like to end this poem. Thank you.